All right, folks, we are here. We are live. It is live time. Wind us all up like a little bang, bang monkey thing with a tambourine thing. It's just to wind them up and go bang, 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 bang for the next half an hour, 45 minutes, or an hour, whatever it takes us to do this job. Right?
Bang, bang monkey thing? You are a strange individual.
You don't remember that? It was a toy. It's you can kind of find videos of it. It's a little monkey toy with a little fez.
Monkey with the cymbals?
The symbols. Monkey bangy thingy.
Okay, so like in Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, you walk around, you wind him up, and he walks around banging little cymbals for about 30 seconds.
I've never seen one in person. I've only ever seen it from Phantom of the Opera.
Oh. No.
When I went to go, well, I guess that is in person when you go to see the play, but it's like it's not close up enough to really understand it.
Yeah, well, I guess there's that problem too. So yeah, as we get everything all wound up here for the showbiz, folks, trying to provide all this necessary fun and entertainment. Gotta get into the show mode for all this stuff.
Getting into show mode is definitely something that takes a little bit of effort when you're tired.
Sometimes, especially if you're burned out or you've been doing a whole bunch of other things. Hey, Hamdian, how you doing? Nice to see you back again. I got Amber this time, Hamdian. Hamdian showed up for my...
I'm not on YouTube yet, so I don't know what he's saying. I'm lost.
Oh. Hamdian showed up for my interview show last week. It was kind of cool.
The other half said that you're talking about the Energizer Bunny. I don't think so, though.
Well, that's the Energizer Bunny also that does that. But I remember it as the little monkey with the fez.
I remember the little monkey with the fez as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sorta.
Yeah, sorta. Okay, well, whatever. Monkeys, fez, bang bang cymbals. You got the same sort of thing with the Energizer Bunny too. He their commercials. He banged around with the little cymbals until the batteries ran out. All right, looks like we've got all kinds of wonderful things happening, all organized up.
That's odd. I can't see the chat.
Why not?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I have to click a thing to... Hang on. It's being weird on me.
Maybe YouTube's playing with stuff again.
I had to click join the conversation to interact.
Ah, okay.
It's weird.
Well, they're making everything weird these days. Constant changes here and there. All kinds of random stuff. All right, we're close enough now. A little music. Carry us on to showtime.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still.
Alrighty, it must be time.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress Plugins A to Z, not Z.
It's episode 643, and we have plugins for unlimited Elementor elements with outdated plugins, and some WordPress news, all coming up on WordPress Plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress Plugins from A to Z. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe. Coming to you direct from the brewery overlooking beautiful southern Vancouver Island. I'm John Overall, and with me is the ever lovely
Amber overall.
And we're here to present you with another episode of WP Plugins A to Z with all the wonderful, great new toys we have, all this stuff. Changes to the website. We're now doing a every other week show for interviews, except for next week, which I have something I have to go do, so I won't be here to record the show. But we're going to try and keep that going, along with a whole lot of updates to the WP Plugins A to Z website, and along with updates at our WP Pro A to Z website. All of that being said, I really don't have a whole heck of a lot, so with that...
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
You know, I need to get a recording of that so I can just randomly play it at you when you go on one of your monologues in person.
Yeah, I thought you just put it as your ringtone for my phone number.
Nah, not good enough. You have to hear it too in order for me to get the full effect.
Ah, okay.
So, welcome to the show. Today is called Transform Your WordPress Experience. Top plugins you can't ignore. WP Plugins A to Z. Man, you are just giving our titles super long titles.
I'm working on it.
You're giving out super long titles these days.
I'm seeing how long I can get them and still, make them useful.
It's episode 643, and we've got plugins for unlimited Elementor elements with outdated plugins. And we've got for us to go into depth on to cover for you. I am just messing up all of my lines today. That's okay, though.
That's what happens when the brain's not there fully.
Yes, sir. It's just not turned on all the way. Need more caffeine, I think.
Uh-huh. That would help.
Well, today's episode is brought to you by Sir Chaos of Life. This wonderful entity has been visiting us over the past week for bare minimum. Although I understand he will be moving on soon to enjoy the company of others. At least I hope he is. Although, even when the life is in absolute chaos, remember to take care of yourself. When it's cold out, throw on a coat. When it's hot out, drink some water. It's all good for you. And a few reminders before we start the show today. Show starts at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time every other week on Monday. Join in for the pre-stream entertainment about 12:15-ish. And you'll find the show notes on the homepage, wppluginsa2z.com, with the next 24-ish hours after every show. And this is a value for value show, so you can help us out by getting some loving, or by giving some loving by hitting some like buttons, sharing an episode or two, or just, turn up really loud while you're listening to it. Maybe someone else will have a major interest in it.
You never know.
And our artist today
is Firefly, not Grok.
Really?
Yeah. Grok didn't create this.
Cool.
We have a new artist. New AI artist has joined the competition. I got tired of Grok not giving me anything. Since his lobotomy, he's not been very good for creating art. And I tripped across Firefly and I went, well, let's see what it can create me. And it's like, oh my God, it creates great art. All right, let's go.
Well, something else that you might want to check out is Opera has its own AI called Aria, and it actually does some pretty fantastic images too.
Have to try it. Everybody's got an AI artist now. AI is everywhere. I finally embraced the use of AI in multiple ways. So I can't, you can't beat them, join them.
Just a quick thing. Hi, Scuba Jess. Good to see ya. Scuba Jess says he's been a listener since 200 episodes.
Oh, my God.
And watching live as they're usually working. But they were actually the ones to help us sort out our gallery a while back.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
God.
totally awesome. I'm glad you're able to
200.
make it live.
You hung through the battle days. All right. Thanks for showing up. We greatly appreciate it.
Next step is news.
Next step is news. Yeah, today's an off kind of day, folks, so bear with us.
Please, can everybody be quiet? Please be quiet. Shut up! And now the news with Amber.
You found the right one. Awesome.
What do you mean?
Well, last time you had a little bit of trouble finding the right one right
Well,
off the
that's
bat,
because I changed stuff and we had to go hunting through the files to get it worked out. Last show was kind of off. Well, it wasn't off. Last show was just full of chaos. That must have been the prelude to the chaos coming and visiting you for a permanent stay or a semi-permanent stay.
No, that was just when Sir Chaos showed up. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Sir Life Chaos. That was the day he showed up, so you know. So first thing we have for today is our usual WordPress vulnerability report. This is with Solid WP. In this report, there are 155 vulnerabilities. 151 of these are plugins, and 4 are themes. So at this point, 51 of the 151 plugins have been patched at the time of writing this, leaving 100 unpatched, and 3 of the 4 themes have been patched. So be sure to go through. There's generally some well-known plugins that are hanging out in the needing to be patched list. Pay attention, and if anything needs immediate attention, go check it out and deal with it immediately.
Yeah, always pay attention to the stuff out there, folks. It's really important nowadays, more than so than ever.
Next up, we have the WordPress vulnerability report from PatchStack. So I've actually come to really prefer looking at these guys' list. Takes a little bit to get used to, but once you understand how to read it, it is a lot easier. So at the time of writing this, there was a unauthorized SQLi vulnerability for the plugin themes coder. So it looks like it's still there.
Yep. Looks like the most recent one still.
Okay, with this one, you can flip between plugins or themes, or there's all kinds of things you can do with this. I highly recommend you go and check it out. Next, we have the WordPress 6.7.2 maintenance release. For those of you who are kind of curious about what it is they did, you can go and click on this, and it tells you all the things they changed. Now, I bring this up in particular because it seems that this is going to be the last update before the next major update up to 6.8. So when they bring that out, it's supposed to be coming out on April 15th. I would suggest that you don't update to 6.8 right away.
No.
I would wait till 6.8.1 or 6.8.2.
Absolutely.
Just wait a little bit.
Absolutely. Make sure you wait some more. Give it until they hit 6.8.1. Then it's usually safe. Let everyone else jump on the bleeding edge and find all the errors.
Yeah. Big releases are always a gamble for your live site. And if you really want to be on the bleeding edge, do it on a dev site, not on your live site.
Yep. Yep. Keep an active dev site going.
Next up is WordPress report in 2025. So the first link here is the report given out by WordPress. It was actually pretty decent. It has some good information in there. But if you want something to help break it down, I have right beneath this the report broken down by WP Shout. Now, they do throw their opinions in there, but they make it clear it is their opinions. They do point out the most important aspects of this report. So both those links are great to check out.
Yeah, it'd be some.
See what's up.
What's that?
See what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, see what's up. Find out the little bits and pieces in it and see what impacts it has on your particular segment of this industry.
That is a very good thing to be looking at. Whenever you read these reports, the most important thing is to look at it, read it, and think about how is this going to affect you and where you're at with your industry, with your company, with your site. Next, we have best practices for using Gutenberg patterns and blocks and custom themes. So this is actually a really good article. It looks like maybe it was an article that was written a while ago and then it was updated to work with more current Gutenberg stuff, which I think is fantastic. The first thing it does is it explains what Gutenberg patterns and blocks are, and then it offers some great suggestions on various practices you can use with your patterns and blocks while building your site. I don't personally use Gutenberg, but I would love to hear back from some of our listeners out there. Let me know if this kind of stuff is actually helpful to you.
Yeah,
And if it is, make sure we bring more.
It would be helpful and interesting. I've tried to use Gutenberg several times now.
My brain just doesn't work for it.
I just can't. It's bad enough that sometimes I have a couple of plugins, such as I use MailChimp, and MailChimp forces you to use the Gutenberg editor, and I can barely make it work to create my forms and templates in it. So it's challenging at best. So at any rate, yeah, for those that use Gutenberg, we'll happily bring more stuff to share with you, but just let us know. And you can go on over to the website and contact us there. A new form is going up there to place questions and other things. That'll be there within the next week.
That is awesome. So the last thing I have here is black holes vibe together in a cosmic story for Valentine's Day written in the stars. The article starts out with a horrible poem, but you know what? It's actually kind of a cool article once you get past the terrible poetry.
Yeah.
What's happening in the sky right now is there are two black holes that are actually swirling together, and the discovery of these black holes just vibing out together is actually pretty amazing, because it was thought for ages now that if two black holes got together, they would actually keep their own patterns and their own chaotic rhythms, but they don't. Once they come together, they actually start working in tandem, and they create a whole new rhythm that works for them both, which is really cool. As there's so much that we're learning from this one thing, and although they make it all about Valentine's Day, really it's just about putting order to chaos. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All righty then. Let's have a little. There we go. Just enough.
Much better than the first one.
Oh, I like the first one way better. It's my poor puppy wine. All right, Rogue's Corner, news and extra. All right, what have I got for you? I've got just a few little things for you here this week. And first off, I've got a notice that there's going to be a couple of new unique plugins coming from WP Pro A-Z. I'm not finished tweaking them out and writing them. One is a little snippets plugin that you'll be able to install, and you'll be able to turn on and off some very useful snippets, especially if you're an Elementor user. And then I've got another plugin coming down the pike too. So I wanted to make note of a new trend I've started seeing in plugins I've been testing. And this is for the free plugins. Not only do they have the usual admin page menu link, but they're adding in a new menu link in that plugin listing where it shows your plugins, and it's a link to their website promoting and selling the services of the plugin developer, which will probably work way better than the old donation link. So I'm seeing that as a bit of a trend. So I think that's going to continue along with the free plugins, aside from the premium plugins. But there's still a lot of just plain free plugins out there. And this is a way for the free plugin developer to maybe get some income from it by encouraging people to visit their website and finding out what they do. Okay, the first one I wanted to talk about here was an article on lowering your DOM size. That's the excessive amount of code, document, object, model size of your website. And this is a nice article to lower that DOM size. 5 easy ways to fix it using WordPress. It's a very helpful article. Brings you up a bunch of stuff and pop-ups all over the place, which is pretty typical, and show you how to clean it up so your first load page elements load faster, improving your page site speed. Another one I've got here for you is another alternate repo, plugin repo. This one here is called notwp.org, where you can go find a whole bunch of plugins that are not hosted at WordPress. And these ones here, I don't know how well they're tested, judge for yourself, but it's another way to get WordPress plugins. These are coming Coming fast now, folks. We're going to see more and more alternate repos. I may have to just keep collecting them into a master list for people as I find them. Because I am
I think
finding.
we're going to have a wild west for the alt repos for a while.
Yeah,
until actually a couple went out.
Well, it's until there's enough of them out, and then they federate. That's going to be the big thing that's going to happen to make them usable, is for them to federate across the network, so that what one is listing, another's listing, so they all get the same, and a search on one is a search on all of them. But yeah,
that actually makes sense.
For the time being, it's definitely going to be a wild west, and see what happens. But there's more and more of that coming down the pike. More of that coming down the pike here. What's that?
Coming down the road?
Yeah.
Road is easier to say than pike.
Yeah, well, coming down the road, coming down the pike, whatever. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Another article I've got here is Juniper Author is a plugin to installed by theme authors who currently distribute or want to distribute their plugins and themes via GitHub. This is a plugin to do that, and he's released an update for this. And there's a couple of different plugins out there. I've got one now in my plugin that I'm building out that allows me to distribute it and to list GitHub for updates to it. So I don't have to go through the WordPress repo where I'm banned anyway. What was that? You had a question?
No, not a question. That actually sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah. And for those of you who are refreshing your brain on coding, or just getting into coding, refreshing, such as myself, I've been ignoring it for the last 5-6 years. I tripped across an article, how to create a healthy GitHub repository. And I thought this was very useful, since I'd opened GitHub back in 2018 and then I promptly didn't use it. And then when I went to recreate a GitHub account, it told me your email's been used. And I said, really? Checked it out. It turns out I opened an account in 2018 and didn't actually use it. That's how long it's been since I've been paying attention to code. But now I'm back into code and digging down into it and refreshing my brain all around it. And I wanted to actually learn to use GitHub properly this time instead of haphazardly. So this is a
GitHub, it does take a little effort to actually learn properly.
What's that?
GitHub does actually take a little effort to learn properly.
Yes.
It seems like it'd be something that would be like easy as, say, Facebook to use, but it's actually not.
No.
You actually need to pay attention and learn a few things in order to properly use it to the fullest extent.
To the fullest extent, and to also how you manage contributors to your project, how you manage the branches to your project, how you manage, well, I want to add stuff to it, but I don't want to have this information here. I need this information somewhere I can find it in my particular project repository. It's like there's a whole lot of extra features in there, including I can't remember the name of it, but it's an AI that helps you with your coding while you're creating code. So there's a lot of really good things in it. And it is nice. And the nice thing about GitHub is it's free, for as many repos or private repos or repositories as you want. Previously, I think I opened a GitHub account and then I opened Bitbucket. And I used a Bitbucket, and I do have a couple of repos left over at Bitbucket, which I've now transferred to GitHub. And of course, the reason is Bitbucket is now limiting the number of free repos and charging people. I tweeted out the article about it last week. What they're doing.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to mute there to cough.
Yeah, no worries. I was just doing the same thing.
Don't know why. I just swallowed something. Swallowed a bug. All right. Another article I've got for you this week. If you're new to web development or you need a refresher on web development, this is a really great article on the 20 principles of web design every professional should know from Elementor. And it's a really good article talking about the key principles, the UX rules, design principles, use of fonts, etc., etc. So it's something that if you're new to it, go read this. If you just need a refresher, go read it. And the refresher is always good, even for those that have been doing it a while, because sometimes you slip into bad habits.
Yep. Even if you don't think you need it, or if you don't need a refresher, go read it anyway, because it'll probably give you some ideas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And some good SEO tips on this article here under construction page. Some good tips on what you want to do about keywords and what things are not dead, and some little SEO myths debunked, which is this next article from Search Engine Journal. SEO myths that you really need to know and myths that are truly debunked. So read this one through if you haven't read anything recently. Finally,
Always
the
good to read.
last couple of items here I've got is Microsoft has admitted PCs are clogged to the point where they're now releasing their own clean and refresh tool. We'll just leave it at that.
All right.
You know, people have been making third-party tools since Windows 3 to clean up your WordPress or Windows computer. Well, Windows has finally admitted they're clogged, and now they have their own clean and refresh tool.
Well, at least, late to the party, but they got there.
Yeah. Some late breaking news that I picked up this morning while I was doing some things is that there was a creative SVG file upload to file inclusions vulnerability affecting over 90,000 sites. The plugin has been patched, and it's in Jupyter X plugin.
Oh.
So go read that one there.
Definitely a good thing to know.
Okay, and the last thing I've got here for you. Couple of tips of the day. Don't eat yellow snow. If you pay cheap, you'll pay twice. Tip for keyword research and PPC terms. Enter the following into a Google search. Put site reddit.com and then put in brackets your topic of interest, and you will get all kinds of stuff from Reddit, which will help you with keyword search terms that people are hunting for or talking about over on Reddit. I just thought that was a useful way to maybe find some key terms you hadn't thought about. So
definitely.
Other than that, we've got a whole bunch of extras that Amber always piles in there, just a whole ton of them. And with that, it is time to go talk about plugins. All right, first plugin I've got for you right off the bat here is called Unlimited Elements for Elementor and more. Now, if you're an Elementor user, this is a plugin you want. And what it's for is for an unlimited amount of elements for Elementor. You can create your own widgets using this plugin. This plugin has a widget builder. You can take your own jQuery, your own HTML, plug it into this thing using a customized widget, create the widget, align it, set it so that it can be all manipulated through your Elementor settings. A whole bunch of tweaks. I forgot to put the link to the YouTube video I found that's training for this one. It's a really good, there's a fellow out there who gives a really good breakdown on how to use this plugin and how it can benefit you. I tested it myself, started playing with it. I half-heartedly on my dev site built myself out an element that sort of worked. I went and took the code over at CodePen. I found something cool there, and I want to see, can I make this into a widget for Elementor? And sure enough, I was able to take that code and make it into a widget for Elementor. I still had a lot of fine-tuned tweaking to make it fully functional, but still I had the initial stages of it. Took me under 20 minutes with my brain only half working in this zone at the moment. So it can be done, and it allows you to create an Elementor widget out of virtually any type of code you want and enhance your own Elementor website. Along with, they have several hundred of their own pre-built widgets. They have about a quarter of them, 25 or 30 that are free, and then they have 75 or more that are part of their premium package. So on the whole, a very good plugin that will help you out with your Elementor website. Expand it all out. I don't normally give 5 dragons for free plugins, but hey, this one here gets a 5 dragons for all the functionality it gives you. So go check it out. Unlimited Elements for Elementor.
For free or freemium plugins?
It's a freemium plugin.
Okay.
But I don't normally give 5 for a freemium plugin.
Yeah, no, I don't usually either, but sometimes it needs it.
It's got that much functionality in the free version that it deserves a 5.
Mm-hmm. And
this one does. This is a really great one. Go check it out.
Next is WordPress tips. My tips,
Oh,
I guess.
yes, this is yours. And I'm lost. There we go.
We'll need to get a sound for your daily tips.
Yeah, well, we'll work on that.
So I would love to hear some tidbit tips from our listeners out there. If you have anything that you think would be awesome to tell everyone, like, don't eat yellow snow. So it can be short and sweet, or it can be something where you broke something on a site and you explain how you fixed it or what you learned. Anything like that you think might help somebody else out there, send it in to me and I'll put it here. So the tip I came up with for you guys this time around is don't trade sleep for what you think is more productivity. Now, this may be something I've already said before, but it bears repeating because it is a very important aspect that will come up over and over in your life. Like when Sir Life Chaos is coming to visit, you may think that you are going to be more productive if you just cut out sleep altogether. The truth is you're not. Even when you're young and basically made of rubber, you're still not actually going to be more productive by lack of sleep, because you may get a lot done that night when you're not sleeping. But then how is your next day going to be? And then how are the 3 days after that going to be? You're going to be tired, you're going to be groggy. And in actuality, what you're doing is you are doing 1 day's work in that lack of sleep night in exchange for 3 really good days of work the following 3 days. So really, you're not actually going to be more productive if you skip the sleep. So my recommendation for this, a way around it, is instead of doing that whole, I'm just not going to sleep tonight, go to sleep earlier. Put yourself to bed really early, wake yourself up at stupid o'clock, like, 3 or 4 in the morning, and start work then. Because if you sleep first, wake up early, you still got the sleep that your brain needs to at least half reset and fill your battery up at least halfway, and you'll be able to get productive work completed in that extra time after waking up, and you'll still be at least most of the way good for the next 3 days. So you'll still get very productive work for the whole week, rather than one good night of work and then not so great work for the following days.
Yep.
That's my recommendation and tip.
Absolutely. All right. Off you go.
My plugin for today is Outdated Plugin Notifier. So this is actually a newer version of one that I used to use. The one I used to use ended up becoming outdated itself. So I had to stop using it. Yeah.
There's irony.
I know, right? I guess the person keeping it up just kind of left it alone. But this one is pretty good. Once you download and activate this plugin, your plugin page will refresh itself, and at the end of the row of information, you'll see a column appear called Last Dev Update. And in this column, you will see the information for each plugin on when the plugin was last updated by the developer, at least for the ones that are in the repository. There is no dashboard. There are no customizations. This is a plugin go style plugin that is lightweight and it plays well with others. It did not crash anything on my dev site that if the plugin doesn't play well with others, the whole thing just crashes. So it plays well with others. I know that we can sometimes overlook how long it's been since a plugin was last updated by the developer, especially when you've got more than a few sites that you're doing regular updates on. So having something like this installed in your site is actually a really good idea, because it allows you to have a quick look and see, oh my goodness, it's been like 500 days since this plugin was last updated. Perhaps we should look at getting a new plugin that does the same thing. Definitely a good idea. So I highly recommend you check this out. It is completely free for anyone who needs this kind of tool. It is kept updated so far. And I rate this at 5 dragons.
There we go. All right. Let's go talk about it.
It's time to donate to WP Plugins A-Z.
Just quickly, Hemdy was asking if this plugin is better than Vendy Abandoned Plugin Checker. I don't know. If I recall, that plugin was a little heavier than this one, and that's all I can really remember for the difference between them. But that is something I'll have to look out or go and check out. I think I stopped using the Vendy Abandoned Plugin Checker because it was kind of heavy on my sites, but I can't say for sure. I'll have to go and check that out. I'll get back to you on the next show. So for donation, you can earn yourself a producership credit, which these credits are actually a real thing that do exist. We offer them up to those who donate through time, talent, or treasure. You can use these credits to boost up your resume, add to your LinkedIn file, so on and so forth. Really, it's just a boost to you and your ego. And even if you're not interested in receiving a producership credit, check out how you can use this as your own stepping ladder in the world of the internet. You can go get yourself an interview. You can have us make an announcement for you to let the world know you have something to say, or that you're going to be up on the WordPress stage or something. It's always worth checking out what you can do, because everything that you can do to help yourself out, you're actually helping us out too. So he'll scratch your back, we'll scratch yours. Works really well, and it falls into time and talent. Just maybe not the treasure aspect of donation. Go and check out the different things that you can do on our website, WP A-Z.com, and check out our menu, time, talent, or treasure, to find out a bit more.
Yeah, and we do have, just so folks know, there's a new gallery system coming. I've turned off the old one for the time being, and I'm building out a new one that will be much more effective, mainly because the developer of the plugin has, well, they updated their plugin, changed their rules around it, and want to charge me way more money. And I just don't want to do that. So I'm building out my own solution now. So that'll be along in 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. Depends on how much time I get to go work on it.
And we have we have a miscellaneous announcements section. This is where, if you have an announcement you want us to speak out to the world for you, this is where it would go. For the time being, we have the next 5 WordCamps listed out here for you. And if you want to see the entire list, you can go to the link for wordcamp.org. And if you're interested in finding a meetup somewhere for WordPress, we have the link here to go find WordPress meetups around the world. And if you are interested in reaching out to us, you can reach out to us through our brick and mortar address listed here, or you can reach out to our internet's address, which is also listed here for you. Today's plugins we covered were?
I covered up the Unlimited Elements for Elementor and More by Unlimited Elements, which I gave a 5-dragon rating to.
And I covered Outdated Plugin Notifier by Carl Gross. It's easy to use and lightweight, no configuration required, and it tells you if the plugin also tells you if the plugin has been expelled from the WordPress repository. That was something I forgot to mention. It'll either say it can't find it in the repository, or it'll say that it's no longer part of the repository. So it's very useful. And Hemdian said that he has Vendy switched off by default and only turns it on every now and then. Maybe this plugin would be a better solution. It just might be, because it really is very lightweight, and it just adds an extra column there. So you can always look and see the information.
Cool. All right.
It's question and answer time with John and Amber.
So if anyone has any questions they'd like to have asked here on the show, if you're brand new to the entire WordPress world and you have questions that you want to ask, but you don't know where to ask them because you're worried about some kind of negative feedback, send them to me. And I'll put them down as my own questions if you don't want your name attached, and then we'll get the questions answered for you. Or if you have a question that you think might stump my dad, you can send that in too, and we'll see if it works. So I have a few questions for you today.
Mm-hmm.
What are some common mistakes that those new to the WordPress world make during startup, and how can they be avoided? I know sometimes people who are not new to the world of WordPress can make these mistakes too, I think.
Choosing bad hosting. That's the most common mistake.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, they think any host will work for their WordPress website, and they just won't. The other common mistakes, and I'm guilty of making these ones, and that is throwing too many plugins into the site and choosing a plugin heavy theme. And I was guilty of this a few years ago by choosing a theme that included plugins, thinking, oh, it'll just save me some time, not realizing how dependent you become on the theme developer to update those plugins for you, because they're integrated into the theme's coding. And when something goes wrong with the plugin, even if they've used a plugin off the shelf, a freebie, and they've integrated it, you can't just automatically update it. You have to wait for the theme developer to update and push you an updated theme and break it. The other ones, common mistakes around, all the common mistakes are based around hosting, theme choices, and plugin choices. Not bothering to sit down and analyze what their website is going to do, what they want their website to do, which is, one of the reasons why we offer consulting now at WP Pro A-Z, to have people spend a few dollars now and save hundreds of dollars later, so that they can get a good idea on where they're going with their website, what plugins they might need. I've been guilty in the past too of building out websites and throwing in 50%, 100% more plugins than were required to do the task. You could have done them either simply with a short line of code somewhere, or you could have done it with a plugin that was more functional and cleaner. So yeah, it's always around those three items, the biggest things. I can't think of anything else that's a common mistake.
All right. And how they can be avoided, I guess, just do a bit more research before you make a decision.
Well, that's it. To avoid them is research. Research or ask someone that's already running a successful WordPress website. Ask them, where's your hosting at? Who's your hosting? What kind of plan do you have? There's a lot of good hosts out there. I don't agree with a lot of hosts, but they're still pretty good for the most part. They'll provide a site for its lightweight. If your site attracts a lot of attention, it can be problematic for you if you're on a poor host. If you're on one of the managed hosting providers, many of the managed hosting providers, without naming names, if your site suddenly gets popular, you can go from paying $15-20 a month to all of a sudden it's $150 a month, because they bill you by the traffic that comes to your website.
Oh dear. I didn't even know that aspect.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the most popular managed WordPress WordPress hosting services out there, and they bill you by the amount of traffic. In fact, most of them do. They bill by the amount of traffic coming to your website. Supposedly, they screen out bots. I don't always believe that's true, but but even if you did, like, say you had a post that suddenly went viral, one post could suddenly stick you with $150, $200 hosting bill that month.
Yeah, that would suck.
And that's only because you got one post that went viral, and it probably didn't even generate you much revenue, because a viral post generates attention, but it doesn't always generate revenue.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the biggest problem is avoiding it can be asking, talking to people, reaching out, doing your own research, going to even Reddit, with the dumpster fire that it is, has a lot of good advice. You
just got to search for it.
You got to sort through. You don't have to search that hard. I've found a lot in Reddit. In the last few weeks, I've decided to rejoin the Reddit world. I can't believe I've had the account. I've had my account since like 2013.
Yeah, I've had my account since about 2014.
And I decided to rejoin it because I'm trying to bring more relevant content to this show and make this show more interesting. And to do that, I need the information from Reddit, Dev Daily, trying to think of all the other, I can't remember. I've got several places that I've just been ignoring for the last several years. I've just been hitting delete on the emails and they come through. But now I'm digging down into it. And while it is a dumpster fire, you just got to ignore the trolls and look at the information from people. There's a lot of really good people that give good, solid advice. So
it really comes down to think and ask.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. My next question is, what are some common security vulnerabilities that are often and easily overlooked by newer users of WordPress, and how can they avoid these? How can they fix them?
The most common one is the default administrator name, which is often admin. That's the most common one. It's not as common as it used to, because there's a lot of people are using install programs to install WordPress and it asks you for a username. But in the beginning, a lot of people are still using the FTP the files up, run through the world famous 5-minute WordPress install function, and it automatically creates a default admin user for you. Other ones is throwing too many plugins in there, using insecure plugins. Another one, common security vulnerability, is themes. Another common security vulnerability that many people don't think about is after they've experimented with several plugins and turned them off, or several themes and turned them off, they still leave them installed. Uninstalled plugins and themes are like begging for an opportunity for someone to hack you. Because while they're not active, they still are a possible door into your website. And they have been used in the past as doors into websites, going through themes, inactive stuff.
Okay.
I can't think off the top of my head what other common ones there are. I probably have dozens of them, but they're stuck somewhere in my noggin where I can't pull them out. But there are a lot of common security vulnerabilities. Not using a security plugin on your website is one. There's two thoughts around the security through obscurity by changing your WordPress login, path, where people put in use a plugin or some other function to change it from WP admin or WP login to some other function there. It basically just makes it obscure. Bots can still find it if they search hard enough. So it's only security through obscurity.
Okay. Security through obscurity is good. Is like a good first level.
It's a first. It's a first level thing to do. Is security through obscurity, and it helps. It doesn't hurt. It definitely doesn't hurt. It can be a pain in the ass if you're managing multiple websites and you forget to log into some of the websites. You go, oh yeah, this one's not the standard.
Yeah, it's good to make a special note if you do that.
Yeah. So it's like all these different things. There are a lot of basics that go into it. It's like when I go through a site setup, I'll go through and tweak and set up the htaccess file, which is slightly more advanced, but it's still a common thing, not putting proper security headers in your htaccess file. There's a lot of things like that. They're slightly more advanced than the general first-time user knows. There are plugins to help with it if you want to use a plugin for it, but there's really no point in adding a plugin that's going to add your security headers when you can just add it yourself. There's different things, Nowadays, it's not a problem because every website gets an SSL certificate free of charge. Thanks, Google. Google did a nice job of forcing that down everyone's throat. One of the few things I was happy they did, although it did cost me a few $100s a year in income because I couldn't sell SSL certificates anymore.
Well, there is one thing I'd like to bring up. Because we have so many AIs now available to us, and a lot of people have been writing articles and talking about how useful it is to use these AIs to help them write code. Don't use the AIs to help you write code like a security header. Don't do that, because although, yes, the AIs have been great for helping with CSS and helping with this or that, helping to finish a plugin. If you actually read these articles, you will see that they had to go back again and again and again in order to actually refine things. And then really the AI was really just something that they could bounce ideas off of, and the AI would help them tweak it here and there. It didn't actually write it for them.
No.
So as much as the AIs are super helpful at this stage, do not let them write out any kind of security code for you.
No, definitely don't. Even regular code. I've used the AI a couple of times to help me figure out my coding stumps, and it's like, well, it got me sort of the way there. It pointed me in the right direction. It really didn't write the code for me. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, especially people who are newer to this whole thing, this whole world with AI and building sites and working code. AI is not actually very smart.
Nope. AI is not AI, folks. It's just a great big library of information, and then figures out how to spit it back to you in a cognizant thought way.
They are as smart as your smartphone. And everybody knows exactly how smart the smartphone is. So think about it in that way.
Yep.
The AI is as smart as your smartphone.
Absolutely. All right, with that, we'll let our girl take us on out of here. For those listening on a download, you want to listen to the next set of questions, you got to come tune in on the YouTubes and check us out there, and you'll catch the other stuff and sometimes a little bit more jabbering after the end. But this is it for the regular download of the show. For those on the YouTube right now, we'll be right back after the outro.
Reminders for the show. All show notes can be found at wppluginsa-z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A to Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to wppluginsa-z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also leave us a review on our Facebook page using wppluginsa-z.com/Facebook. You can also watch the show live on YouTube, check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Follow the show on Twitter at WPPluginsA-Z. John can also be reached at his website, johnoverall.com, or email him directly, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today. Alrighty, we're back. We're back, baby.
So Hempian actually has a good question.
What's that?
He says, recently, for some reason, most of my file permissions on one of my sites changed from 644 to 755, execute on all levels. How much should I worry?
I would worry a lot. They should all be 644 for files. Folders should be 755, but not files. You know, I don't know of any reason for a file to be 644. And that's strange. If they changed all over, somebody ran a script to have that happen, or your hosting provider has made some change that server-wide it got changed. Because that isn't a common thing. That is very uncommon. I know, I run servers. And I still remember the days when 777 was common. Oh my God. There's still an occasional plugin out there that has a folder labeled 777. And when you upload it, it's still 777.
I'm lost. I have no idea what you're even talking about, honestly.
The numbers refer to the permissions that are accessible on that folder. 777 means the folder is writable, world accessible, and executable, meaning that if I hit that folder with a web browser and it was 777, I could upload files directly from my web browser to that folder on your server.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Those days are long gone behind us, fortunately, for the most part. Every once in a while, somebody makes that mistake, and it doesn't last long because the bots are always hunting for that. The bots are always hunting for that, man. And the moment they find one, they'll just slam your server to no end with crap.
So it's like the different levels of permissions.
It is. It's different levels of permissions. 644 is the basic permissions that are needed for a file to exist and be usable. 755 is the permissions that the access to the folder. And I can't remember the names of it all right now. I have to actually look. I just know which ones are proper and which ones aren't. It's like if you want to prevent your htaccess file or your wp config from being changed by anything, you put it to 444. And that means, like, you know, those programs you have, those plugins you have that put things into your htaccess file, such as changing the slug for WordPress, the permalinks setting. That is actually written to the htaccess file by WordPress. If you put 444 on your htaccess file, you could not change that. It would not change, no matter how hard you tried.
So he asked, you don't need execute on a PHP file?
No, I do not believe so. And I will go check and look at something real quick here and tell you what I've got.
Honestly, when you were explaining the different levels of permissions, I'm picturing the different levels of permissions you have in WordPress, where there's administrator and then like editor, writer, all those permissions. That's kind of what I'm picturing. But I'm guessing, I'm guessing it's kind of the same idea, where each level is restrictions on permissions on who can access it, who can change it, what can change it, all that stuff.
It's along that line of thought, only it's more precise inside a install.
Okay.
And no, Hamdian, no, PHP files do not need 7 or 755. The folders need it, but not the files. The PHP files need 644. And the permissions of 644 is read, write, execute, and it's user, group, and world. So the user, meaning the person who owns the account, can read and write that file. The 4 is for the group or another larger group of users on the server or whatever. They can only read the file, and the world can only read the file. If it's set to 755, which is 755, that means the world can execute and group can execute and a user can execute. But you don't need to execute because the PHP file is executed in a completely different way. So yeah, I'm trying to remember all the precise things around it that I just know inherently now. But no.
Maybe you could put those links into the chat so Hamdian can click on them.
There's no links. I was logged in. I was logged into the cPanel of one of my servers. Or to go look at the information. So
okay.
So at any rate, that information is there. But that being said, what are your next couple of questions?
When building a site, what are some suggestions to make the site more user-friendly and appear more accessible to the human eye?
I have to try and figure out what you mean by make the site more user-friendly and appear more accessible.
Okay, so to make the look and feel more appealing to the general public.
Okay, start with good colors that fit with your branding colors, and then choose good balanced fonts. You know, balance your headlines against your text and readable, and then figure out your proper sizing for everything. That's the biggest thing. And then you just go read that article that I brought up earlier on design skills, professions, proper web design. You know,
okay,
because that tells you what you need to know. The other thing is, if you want to really get down to it, accessibility is becoming a big thing. As much as never mind what I think about it, but it's becoming a big thing, and more you've got to think about designing for accessibility. Well, let's think about what you did for the website we just recently launched, CamPraxis. You designed that one for accessibility.
Yes.
Whether you intended to or, well, you did intend to, but you designed it for accessibility. So basically everything you did there is what you need to do.
Yeah, I guess this is more so one that I can answer. Sorry, just one moment. So in order to make it more user-friendly, the biggest thing you want to do is figure out who your audience is going to be. Like when I was building CamPraxis, I knew that my audience was very likely going to have trouble reading regular fonts. So having all caps font without making it seem like the site is screaming at you was a need. And there is a way to have all caps font on a site without the site seeming like it's yelling at you. And then like cool colors rather than bright colors. And the biggest thing is to do the research, figure out who your target audience is, and then build the site for them in order to make it more accessible. And the less busy, the better.
Well, see, you already knew the answer to that one. So
I already know the answers to pretty much all of these, but I'm asking because it's important that people who are newer to this have these questions asked for them, in my opinion.
yeah, well,
Because I know that you are very good at explaining things much better than I am most of the time.
most of the
So-
time when I have a good idea on what you're chasing down, or it's recently in my head.
Mhm. So yeah, I can answer generally for anything that you can't figure out, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
My last question is, when building a site, what can one do to help keep their viewers on the site longer? See, this one I don't know all the answer to.
Well, what you're going to do here is you're going to build things that lead them down the garden path, basically. You want them to lead them from one action to the next action to the next action, to dig deeper, to ask more questions, to find out, give them enough information to solve the problem until you capture them on the one page where you want them to fill out their information. So you keep giving them the information, and keep them on the site longer as you give them information that they are looking for, because depending on what your site is about, hopefully it's information people are looking for in whatever particular niche your website is about. And then that information has to be presented in an easy to digest manner, meaning if it's supposed to be in audio, make it in audio. If it's supposed to be in video, make it in video. If it's a combination of everything, make it in combination. If it's going to be a text, don't just make the entire page one big block of text. Break that block of text up. Make it so that block of text is more readable. Don't try to put 3 paragraphs of text in one block. Break it into 3 paragraphs of text. Maybe go 2 paragraphs, put an image, and break it up a little bit for them. Don't make the images too big so they have to continue scrolling too far. That annoys me to no end. But, make it enough so that their eye gets a break from reading the text. And then also put the call to actions throughout the page to where you want them to go to further information. Like you're talking about something that you've already covered in another article, see this article, and make sure it's a crystal clear, not just see this article, talk about it, link the article, that's what you do. You just keep dragging them through. Or we can fall back to the late 90s and the early 2000s of more games on the website. And they sit there playing games on your website.
I would love to throw in a couple games onto like every website we have. I think it'd be fantastic to throw Snake in there.
I'm rewriting there's an old plugin. When I've been going through and clearing out, it seems over the years I've had this desire to want to fork different plugins that have disappeared from the WordPress repository. I found one called Shoot the Zombies that I seem to have saved.
Nice.
And it's basically, it loads up on your website and a little marker appears on the side. And if you click on it, a bunch of zombies run up on the screen. You got to shoot them before you can continue.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's an old JavaScript plugin. So I have to rewrite it to bring it up to date. But it's in my queue now. It's I don't think I put it up on my GitHub repo yet, but it will be there on the GitHub repo for people to play with. But yeah, there was once in the beginning of WordPress, there was so many cool. There was an asteroids game for WordPress.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That was one of my favorite games.
Somebody created asteroids for WordPress, and it was a plugin. I don't know. I may or may not still have the plugin somewhere. And if I find it, we will fork it and bring it up to date to modern standards so it can be used again.
That'd be awesome.
Bring back the fun to WordPress. It's even to make it even funnier. I don't know how many old coders there are out there, but do you remember the ASCII art that was always at the very top of the README page for all code? People put ASCII art of their favorite symbol or who they were or their whatever. I'm bringing back the ASCII art into my code.
Cool.
My README pages now have a dragon in ASCII art.
Nice.
So it's like bring back the fun and the entertainment of what coding used to be. It's gotten so bland nowadays.
Completely agree with that.
Along with snarky comments in the code. Like if you
like
ever
sneaking into chat.
Sneaky Ninja Cat, or what was the one? My favorite was I read about. I didn't actually see it. But there was one that somebody made a piece of code in there. It's like, I've wasted X number of hours on this trying to fix this bug with no suggestion. Everyone once in a while comes along and does that. Here's total hours so far, my hour. When you try to do it yourself, just add your total hours here so we can keep a running tally.
That's awesome.
Something like that. That's paraphrased. But yeah, there's been a lot of cool things. I've actually, when I read code occasionally, the comments sometimes are actually quite funny.
Oh yeah, I love reading code and looking for those hidden comments. It's so great.
Yeah, so I'm going to start adding those and an occasional Easter egg in my code. You know, just like it was once upon a time. I think coding's gotten boring. So
that is the sad aspect of it. People, they're just not making it fun no more.
Nope. But it's time to bring it all back and make code fun again, and still, you know, make an income with it. All right, I think that's it, folks. We've run out of questions and plugins and all kinds of other stuff. Thanks everybody for being here. Wow, we had 5 people hang around for the whole show. That's impressive. Thank you very much. I would greatly appreciate everyone showing up, and a little bit of music. Carry us on out of here.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty, folks. Thanks for showing up. That's all we got for you now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Oh my god, that is amazing!
Oh no. Obviously we just lost the satellite feed. That sucks.